Good morning, everyone. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the print publishing aficionados joining us today. The world of print can sometimes feel challenging, but today we've got some exciting tools to share that promise to revolutionize your image processing workflows. I'm thrilled to introduce Cody Dyer, our BLOX Total CMS product manager, the amazing Audrey Borges, developer extraordinaire, and the visionary John Winters, our product architect. Together, they're going to dive into our new Photoshop plugin, show off its seamless integration with BLOX Total CMS, and share their expertise and insights. So without further ado, let's hand it over to the team to kick off this exciting journey into the future of image processing.
Thank you, Aaron. Hello, everyone. First and foremost, thank you for joining us today to review the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop. We're confident this plugin can enhance your image workflow, and we appreciate everyone's time today to explore its benefits with us. The BLOX Total CMS client for Adobe InDesign allows Total CMS users for the first time to create and edit BLOX image assets using JPEG and PNG files as BLOX Total CMS requires. Users can edit and save images using Adobe Photoshop's editing tools. Assets can also be allocated to BLOX Total CMS edition, section, or page. New image assets can be created directly from Adobe Photoshop. And adding assets as children to any article or collection asset is a simple process. We will show you how it all works this morning with a demonstration. But before we dive into the demo, some background on the Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop and the upcoming plugin for the BLOX Total CMS InDesign client. Both plugins use Adobe's Unified Extensible Platform, or UXP technology, which was first made available for Photoshop a couple of years ago, before being released for InDesign last year with Creative Cloud 2024. BLOX Total CMS product architect John Winters and developer Audrey Borges are here to discuss the UXP project. After we demo the Photoshop plugin, John will review the UXP project and what it means for the future of BLOX Total CMS. Before we begin the demonstration, Audrey will discuss finding and installing the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop. Take it away, Audrey.
Today, I'll show you how quick and easy it is to find and install the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop, as well as where to find the documentation on our help site to help you make the most of this plugin. There are two ways to install the plugin. You can either use the Adobe Exchange website, or if you have the Creative Cloud desktop application installed, you can install it directly from there. Here's how. Okay. So this is the Adobe Exchange website's homepage. From here, you're going to click on Creative Cloud. Next, you're going to make sure your app type selected as plugins. As you can see, there's a couple of different options. After that, you're going to search for BLOX Total CMS. And there it is. So after clicking on it, you can see that I came to the main page that has a bit more information about it. Up here it says acquired because I am signed in. If you're not signed in, it's going to say free. And once you do sign in, then it will change and say acquired. So next I'm going to click Manage, and this is going to prompt me to open the Creative Cloud desktop app. So from here, can click Install, and this just gives me a bit more information about what's going to happen when I install this. It can read and write files on your device and so on. So I'm going to click OK, and it's going to install my plugin. Okay, here at the bottom, I have a confirmation message saying that it's been installed, and at this point, it'll prompt you to open Photoshop, and then once you get to Photoshop, you'll go to Plugins in the menu bar and click on BLOX Total CMS, but Cody will talk a little bit more about that later. So let's get out of this, and next I'm going to tell you a little bit about our help site. So this is help.bloxdigital.com, and this is for our Photoshop client here. It includes detailed installation instructions and other resources such as how to log in, how to search for image assets and create image assets, and a whole lot more actually. Yep, as you can see, we've created quite a bit of documentation to help you out. So a few things about the plugin to note are that it requires Photoshop version 25.1 or higher. Additionally, for those with an enterprise license, the Photoshop plugin can be pushed to users via the management console in Creative Cloud, allowing for remote installation. Upgrading to an enterprise license is often more cost-effective for organizations with multiple users. All right, thank you so much. And Cody is going to show us all how to use the Photoshop client.
Okay, with the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop installed, the next step is to go ahead and launch Photoshop, and we'll talk about how to log into BLOX Total CMS. So once Photoshop launches, we'll navigate up to the menu options, choose Plugins, and BLOX Total CMS. That's going to return the BLOX Total CMS login menu here. That includes options to enter the server address, and along with your BLOX account info. That includes your email and password. You'll notice that this menu can collapse, can expand, similar to the other corresponding Photoshop menus here. We can also pull this menu option out. That's a nice little feature here, just like the other Photoshop menus, where if I want to make this guy a little bit larger, say I'm also working with dual monitors, I can drag this this menu option over to my corresponding menu or my corresponding monitor to get it out of my working area. But to get logged in, again, we need to throw in the server address and our BLOX account information. You can manually type in the server address, but you'll notice here in the upper right-hand corner, there's initials for M and E. The M stands for Midwest, for the Midwest Data Center, and the E stands for E for the Eastern Data Center. So if I click the M, it's going to return the Chicago Data Center, the Midwestern Data Center here, where the domain that I'm going to be working out of is located. So then we just need to type in your email address. Followed by the password associated with that account. And you'll notice once I start typing in the password, the login button is going to become active. So now I'm going to go ahead and choose login. And to confirm login, we notice here that the login button is no longer enabled. It's now disabled. The logout button is now enabled. And now I have the ability to choose the domain that I want to work out of. So again, as long as you have a user account set up in that domain, you'll be able to choose that domain from this list here. So I'll go ahead and choose the domain that I'm going to work out of. And keep in mind, after the first successful login here, the server address, user account, email address, and domain should be recalled from your last login. In addition, if your password is 12 or more characters in length, it will be cached, and you will be logged in automatically. Okay, now that we're logged in, we can talk about how to search for images that are stored within the CMS. So I'm going to migrate over from the login option over to the search tab here. And from search, we have a reset button, a search button, and filtering options to search for text by slug, by section, and workflow. And again, the section, workflow, these are the section and workflows that are available from the domain that you're working out of, the domain that you've chosen when you logged in. You'll notice here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a number. This one says 8,292. Those are the number of image assets that are available out of the domain that I'm working out of. So if I want to find an image, I can use my filtering options here. For example, if I type in and hit search. If I go back to my search results real quick, I'm going to notice, first thing I'm going to notice is the number, the overall total number is going to be reduced. So in this case here, after I typed in my search, that reduced the number down to 51 here. So if I go to my results, it's now just returning the number of images associated with the search terms that I provided, those parameters that I provided back here. Go ahead and expand this menu here a little bit. So after I've executed a search, I can come over to my results tab here. And you'll notice here at the bottom, we have navigation arrows here. So this right now is page 1 of 5. So I can navigate to the next corresponding page or pages. I can go all the way to the last page. I can navigate back to the first page. There's also a little refresh button here. And then we have 3 different viewing options. There's an L. This stands for list view. This is going to be your default option here after you've executed a search. There's also an option here for preview mode. So with the list view here, you've got small thumbnail preview. The L stands for locked. So if the image is opened up by you or another user back in the CMS, the user information will appear here under the L here for locked. And then we also have the slug information associated with the image that you're looking at. So if I change the preview or to the preview view here, it's going to expand the thumbnail preview a little bit so you can see that image a little bit better. And then we also have a grid view. So if I choose the grid view option here, you're going to notice here that the images are a little bit easier to take a look at. They'll be a little bit larger. You can also expand this dialog. Again, if you're working with dual monitors, this is where you could drag this dialog over to your corresponding monitor to clear your working area. So again, we have 3 different viewing options here to be able to select an image. I'm going to go back to the list view here. When I select an image, I can then go to my details tab. So once an image has been selected, the details option will be active. And then I can take a look at the metadata that's coming along for the ride here with the image. This includes everything from the asset type all the way down to, of course, section, slug, start time. And then there's also a working preview of the image itself here as well. For opening up images, I have 2 options. I could either go back to my results here and double click to open up the image, but I can also open up the image from the details tab. If I scroll down to the preview and double click on the preview, I can also open up the image. Keep in mind that all 4 search options are set to search after making a change. So for example, I'm going to go back to the search option here. I'm going to go ahead and reset my search. So again, after I reset, my number has gone back to 8,289. So again, just to confirm, that's the number of assets, image assets that are available back in the CMS that I'm working out of. But say I go ahead and type in my search parameters again. And if I click tab after this, type it in the search parameter, that's going to automatically search for me. So again, that number has reduced back down to the 51 or the number of images that are associated with that search text. You'll notice, though, it will not automatically switch to results. So again, after I've done my automatic search, I still need to go to the results tab here to be able to view the images that are related to the search parameters that I typed in here to the search text field. Also, keep in mind, the BLOX Total CMS client for Adobe Photoshop remembers your last search options, even if you last used the client days or weeks ago. So if, for example, you always use a particular workflow, that workflow menu picker should still be set. Clicking reset, however, will clear the menu picker. So again, the reset button will likely be your friend. Again, if you ever need to clear your search parameters here. Keep in mind, though, that the reset button is definitely going to be your friend. So again, if you need to clear out the search parameters, you're not seeing a result that you were expecting, come back to the search results. You can use reset. We also have an option here from the menu where you can clear cache. So keep in mind the reset option is going to clear your search parameters. The clear cache option up here in the upper right-hand corner, that will clear not only your search parameters that were cached, but also your login information. So again, if you ever need to clear out your cache, that option is going to be available here from the upper right-hand corner. This menu here that also features our other options here to edit asset, which we'll talk about in a little bit, create new assets, how to upload print-ready black and white, print-ready CMYK images. But again, in regards to clearing your cache, that option is going to be available right here. And along with the reset button here to be able to just reset and clear out your search parameters. After executing a search, the next step here is to talk about opening up and editing an asset. So to do so, I'm going to pick an asset here and double click to open it up here in Photoshop. And once you open up an asset, you'll notice here under the L, this is going to indicate this guy is now checked out or locked by you. And if I go back to the CMS here real quick, the hosted CMS and the domain that I'm working out of, go ahead and choose the little refresh button here at the bottom. And I take a look at the image that I have opened up in Photoshop. You'll notice here that the little locked symbol will light up here in the CMS. And if I open up the asset, it'll indicate that indeed it is locked by me back in Photoshop. So similar to the behavior that we're used to working out of Adobe InDesign or Adobe InCopy for those users out there. Once the asset has been placed or checked out to the user, it's going to be locked here in the CMS. So again, if somebody were to open up the image asset here in the CMS, they were to make any changes, they couldn't save those changes off until I close the image back in Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the size of my menu here a little bit. And in fact, I'm just going to put that back over here. And remember, this guy can be used as a flyout menu, can be open and closed anytime. All right. So this guy here, this image that we're looking at here, after I double click and open, this is our primary image here. So if I were to make just a straight edit here in this in Photoshop, go and click OK. Go ahead and save off my change real quick. And then close the image out. If I go back to the CMS, we'll do a refresh here. There we go. So now the image has been updated back here in the CMS. So here's our updated image. So again, maybe if we're pre-toning images before they're placed on the InDesign page, again, maybe a good use case here is this is an AP story. This guy here is not going to appear online, and it's totally okay just to go ahead and update the original image. But there obviously may be cases where we don't want to tone the original image that's going to potentially appear on the website. So we do have options, long-standing options here to be able to upload a print-ready image for color and a print-ready image file for black and white. So back in Photoshop, let me go ahead and open up that photo again. And I'm going to change from our list view to our preview view to see a little bit larger thumbnail. So again, I'm going to go ahead and refresh back here. So that now refreshes and updates the image that I toned a little bit ago. There may be cases, though, where obviously we want this image to appear online, and we don't want to tone the original that's going to appear on the website. So back here, I'm going to go ahead and open up another asset, image asset. Once I have that image opened up, if I come up to my menu options here, you'll see there's options to upload as a print-ready black or white or upload as print-ready color. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and choose upload as print-ready color. And we're going to be met with a couple dialog boxes. The first one here is this asking, what do you want to do with the asset now? Do you want to go ahead and reopen so I can start editing, or I can choose unlock? Maybe I don't want to open up the asset right now, but I want to make sure that it is available for other users to open it up back in the CMS. So if I want to do that, I can choose that unlock option. But I'm going to go ahead and choose reopen here. And the next dialog box is just going to ask, which image do you want to reopen? Do you want to open up the main image, the high-res main image, or do I now want to open up the print ready color image? So I certainly want to open that one up here because that's the one I want to edit. So same philosophy here. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple changes here. Brighten this guy up for print. Go ahead and save off my edits and go ahead and close the image. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh, and then we'll go back here to the CMS to take a look at our changes. So again, I'll refresh. So the first image that we updated, we noticed again we didn't upload a separate file, a separate print file. We just edited the original. So again, the original got edited, but in this case here, since we uploaded a separate print ready image file, the original image remains intact. This will be the image that we'll see on the website. Here, though, is the image that we just edited and we uploaded separately for color. So if I wanted to take a look at that, I can click the view button, and here is the full image here. And again, this is the edited version that I worked on back in Photoshop. So I'm going to cancel out of here, go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to go ahead and open up one more image here. And again, keep in mind that along with the color option, we can also repeat that process if we need to upload a separate black or white or grayscale image for print. So again, those are going to be the two different options here available to ensure that the web image is not impacted, is not edited, and we can still make edits to the print ready versions, whether it be for color or for black and white. Keep in mind when you're opening up an image asset, you do have a couple of different options. Let me go ahead and close this guy back out. So again, when we close the asset, you're going to see the lock option there. My user information disappears. That's letting myself and everybody else know that this image is now available to be opened up back, whether it be here in Photoshop or back in the CMS. But keep in mind, I've got a couple different options to open up an image. We've talked about double clicking here to open up an image, but we can also once we have an image selected, we can go over and choose the details option. You'll notice here, once image is selected, the details option becomes available. Once I have the details tab selected, the details tab again will return everything, all the metadata that's associated with this image. I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom. You'll notice here there's a preview, so I can also open up the image from here as well. If I double click, that will open up the image. So again, we have a couple different options here out of Photoshop to open up images. We can either do that back from the results tab, or we can do that from the details tab. So either way. Keep in mind, there are two types of editing with the BLOX Total CMS client for Adobe Photoshop. Now, we've discussed image editing by opening up the image and making edits here within Photoshop, but we can also open up an image. Say we just need to edit the information. We can also edit the image's metadata. So if we go over to the menu, and we choose Edit Asset, we'll get the Edit Asset dialog box here. And from this point, we can update the details. There's caption information, author information, section information, flags, keywords, parent asset, and budgeting. So back in the Details tab, we need to update the title. We could do so here. We need to update the slug for the asset. Go ahead and throw in the slug. We can also update the workflow. So at this point, say I just want to get this guy into a created process of a general news workflow. We can also change the presentation mode here if we wanted. From the caption tab, we can update the caption. We can update the byline or the caption image credit information. We can also add author information. Again, you'll have a complete author list here. There's a user for every user account that's listed in the domain that we're working out of. So say I wanted to add myself here, I could do so. Now we can also add sections. So these are the AP sections that came along for the ride when this AP image came from syndication. But say we wanted to remove these guys and we wanted to add a local section tag here. So we'll go down, find our sports sections. Here we go. And this has a flag here. So this was an AP image, but say we wanted to go ahead and indicate that this is a wire story on the website. We could use the wire flag. We can add keywords here. Even do a # hashtag, depending on when you grew up. And another nice function here as well, guys, is we can also add a parent asset. So say that this point here, this guy was an orphan child image. At this point, we wanted to go ahead and add this to the parent article asset. We choose the parent asset tab here. We can search. You'll notice here this option has filtering search options for search text, slug. We can narrow down our search to article or collection. We can also filter by section and workflow. So again, once you've found the parent article or collection asset that you want to add the image to, you would select the asset and click Save Changes. We also have options here for budgeting. So if I wanted to go ahead and budget this asset to a page back in Page Tracker in the CMS, we have options here to budget to just the edition, budget to edition and section, and budget to the full page. So I'll go ahead and choose an edition, a month, date, year. Go ahead and change my section to traditional sports. Say we're going to do this on B1. Once I go ahead and save my changes off, go ahead and close out of the asset here. We'll return back to the CMS. We'll do a refresh. So now when I go to open up this asset here, we'll see my author information has been added. Here's the update to the photo credit or byline. And if I move over to Page Tracker, and we'll do a refresh here. So as soon as I budgeted the asset for this page and edition, it's going to behave similar to the legacy functionality that we're used to, whether we're budgeting an asset, assigning an asset before the page was created. It's going to Page Tracker will go ahead and make the sacrificial page. So once I open up that page, here's the image asset that I've budgeted for the edition and page. So again, a lot of nice options out of the Photoshop plugin. Even if we're not even editing the asset or the image directly, we can do a lot of cool things back here within the plugin just to update the metadata back in the CMS. So again, a lot of different options here for end users. Along with being able to open up and edit an image directly here in Adobe Photoshop or the image's metadata, we can also create a brand new image asset directly from the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop. So if I navigate up to Photoshop's File menu and choose Open and navigate to where my photos are located on my local machine, once I have the image that I want, I can go ahead and click Open. And at this point, I'm going to go over to the BLOX Total CMS menu and choose Create New Asset. So when I do that, we're going to get the create asset dialog box here. And similar to when we're editing the metadata, we'll have the options here to edit the details. That includes the title, slug, print notes, priority, workflow, process, and presentation, along with the caption, author, sections, flags, keywords, along with being able to add this to a parent article asset and the same budgeting resources. So we'll go ahead and make some changes here so we can see that back in the CMS here eventually. Provide a slug. I'm going to go ahead and add a print note. This field here is for our print notes. Go ahead and set this to a general workflow. We're going to say this guy will be ready. Here, if I need to update my caption information, you notice this guy retains some caption information. Where this info is coming from is the images file information that's coming along for the right. If a photographer added that metadata to the file info option here in Photoshop, that's the metadata and the information that will come along for the right here. So again, we can update that caption if we needed to. So we needed to add a photographer. We can also add author information here. So again, I'll double click my user information here to add myself. We can now also add our section. So I'll navigate back down to our sports section here. Double click to add that. We can also add a flag if we needed to. Add a keyword here. Or two. And this guy here is indicating that this guy's already got a parent asset that I've already added to before. I'm going to go ahead and budget this guy. So we're going to go ahead and change this. We're going to go to the same sports page. We're going to go ahead and choose create asset. Okay. So if I go back to the CMS now, I'm going to go ahead and close this guy out. Okay. All right. So open up my page here. Here's my image that has been assigned to the budgeted page back here in the page tracker in the CMS. So here is my author information that I added back in the Photoshop plugin, along with my image credit byline. Here's my caption, and here's my print note that I added. Here's my section that I added. Here's our keywords. So again, all that metadata that we add back in the Photoshop plugin, once we save, it's going to write back and update the asset in the CMS. And of course, if we've budgeted, it'll update the content back here in Page Tracker.
Thanks. We initially developed the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop to give us a running start on some new technology provided by Adobe. The roots of our legacy BLOX Total CMS client for Adobe InDesign date back to a technology that Adobe released with the very early versions of Adobe InDesign. That was back around the turn of the millennium. For over 20 years, that technology, ExtendScript, has been a fundamental part of BLOX Total CMS, but the technology hasn't really changed. The core code for the BLOX Total CMS client for Adobe InDesign dates back to around 2008, 2009, several years before I joined BLOX Digital, back at the time when it was still known as Town News. The client, well over a dozen years old, was due for a complete overhaul, but Adobe had only released one newer technology in all those years. We looked at it, but it was fraught with technological issues, and we decided to wait it out. Luckily, Adobe had other plans. They call it UXP for the Unified Extensibility Platform. We call it revolutionary. Two things included with the UXP are a modern programming language. Adobe joked that the extend script dates back to when coding was handled with punch cards, and a modern user interface that mimics Adobe's products. As you saw in the demo, the BLOX Total CMS panel appears as a built-in item in Photoshop because it uses the same user interface technology as Adobe Photoshop, all provided by UXP. That modern language and the consistent UI are two reasons that I was excited to start using it. Additional reasons UXP is an improvement are that it opened up development to Adobe Photoshop, and it provided an easier, more consistent installation, as you saw with Audrey's demo earlier. And UXP adds features. Adobe released UXP development for Adobe Photoshop about 18 months before they provided it for Adobe InDesign, and they publicized that schedule. To learn the process and have a running start for development with Adobe InDesign, we decided to create a plugin for Photoshop. The demonstration you saw took just a few months of development work between Audrey and me. When it came time to start the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe InDesign, we used several key components, including the tab panels, the login process, and the communication APIs. Audrey already showed how easy the installation process is. The Adobe InDesign plugin has an identical procedure, and that process is considerably simpler than our legacy client's installation. Given the number of support tickets we get over botched installs on the legacy client, the process needed improvement. Finally, a large benefit of UXP development is that it provides some additional built-in functionality. Chief among those is built-in communication technology. The legacy client uses a pair of communication libraries consisting of a DLL for Windows and a framework for Mac OS. When the site locks down a workstation for security, it makes installing those libraries difficult or near impossible. With the built-in technology, we no longer rely on the old libraries, and the rate of successful installations should be 100%. As I mentioned, the BLOX Total CMS plugin for InDesign several times. The first version has passed quality assurance testing, and we are waiting on Adobe's approval. After that, it will be available for installation via Adobe's Creative Cloud desktop application, along with our Photoshop plugin. What does this new plugin for InDesign do? Well, the first version of the plugin is designed to work solely with snippets. That's its purpose. It replaces and improves all of the snippet options from the legacy client. It changes the export process and adds some requested features. It allows snippets to be displayed with previews. Let that sink in. It also allows snippets to be placed without having to navigate all those multiple drop-down menus in the legacy client. It provides extensive search filtering so you can locate the snippets that you want to place quickly. It provides quick access to your most used or favorite snippets. And it keeps the snippets synchronized for remote distributed production users. And finally, it allows those snippets to be used for automated production. Soon, we'll have another webinar for this first Adobe InDesign plugin. But that'll just be the first BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe InDesign. Eventually, the legacy client will be replaced with a plugin that looks like it belongs in Adobe InDesign. We've already started working on it. Cody, back to you.
Thank you, John. And thank you again, everyone, for taking the time out of your day to join us. We're excited to release the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop and confident it will help streamline your image editing workflow. Please remember that the BLOX Total CMS plugin for Adobe Photoshop is available now from the Creative Cloud desktop or web application. Be sure to visit our help site, help.bloxdigital.com, click on the Total CMS home button, and scroll down to the Admin Photoshop header for our complete documentation. And of course, we invite you to submit a support ticket with questions or if you need direct assistance. Thank you, everyone.